Good evening, everyone. Surprise, surprise. Happy Saturday. How's everybody doing? How's everybody feeling? I'm sure a lot of you are probably upset with the Yankees, which I totally understand. I know I'm upset. I'm disappointed. It's just been a pathetic series right now. But we'll talk about that. So, I didn't go do a pregame today or a play-by-play. Today was just one of those days where I just needed to just kind of take some time to myself and just relax and just reset. It's just been an exhausting week. Nothing to do with the Yankees, just personal life. It's just been an exhausting week. Everything is fine. Everything's all good. But in case anybody was wondering why I didn't go live, but I did put out a community post. But shout out to everybody in the chat. Make sure you all hit the like button, hit that subscribe. Share this channel out with everyone you know. I would greatly appreciate it. Another crappy performance by the New York Yankees. And as the title says, one thing clicks, the other doesn't with this team. And we've seen it one too many times. Last night and today were prime examples of that. Last night, right, the Yankees bats were clicking. That was like the best performance you could have asked for by the New York Yankees offense. Good base running, a lot of steals, home runs, good situational hitting. All around everything just clicked for the New York Yankees, right? As far as pitching goes, not so much. The pitching last night was piss poor. Rodon. He had a good outing. I'm not gonna say he had a bad outing. He had a pretty decent outing. Went 5 and 2/3. He struck out 9, walked 5, gave up a couple of runs. Then the bullpen couldn't hold it down. And there was much criticism about the Yankees' newly acquired arms as far as their bullpen arms go. They didn't exactly show up, right? They let the team down. So the bullpen, the newly acquired arms that the Yankees got, not a good first impression. I totally get it. And, a lot of fans were already on the train of these guys aren't it. I'd say you got to give them time. You got to give them time to adjust with a new team, new coach, and how they adjust to the, to the team environment, new culture, right? To pitching coach Matt Blake. Because today is, today's game, right? Jake Bird came out. He looked a lot better. It was his second game. So, I'm not going to say, okay, this guy is it, but it was a much better outing from Jake Bird. Cam Schlittler actually had a very solid outing. He kept the team in the game. He was doing everything he can to give the offense opportunities today to make a comeback, and they should have been able to come back. They lost the game 2-0, and to lose a game 2-0 is never a good thing, right? It's never a good sign. The offense clearly was non-existent. The bats were frozen. The pitching, on the other hand, did their part. Again, Schlittler coming in 5 innings. Pitching, striking out 6, walking 2, only giving up the 2 runs. And funny enough, it was against former New York Yankee prospect Augustine Ramirez. It was kind of his way of saying, hey, here's my revenge. You guys traded me. Now it's payback, So, it's funny that it came, the 2 home runs came from him. Those were the only 2 runs from the Marlins, and it was enough for them to secure a win. Their pitching was on point. Yuri Perez, who's one of their young guys in the rotation, who's got a lot of potential. Actually, he shut it down against the New York Yankees. I feel like where I started to get a bad feeling was when Trent Grisham got thrown out at home with 2 outs in the top of the first when Giancarlo Stanton hit that single. And then I was like, yeah, let's see what's going to happen. It's going to be one of those games. And sure enough, it was one of those games. And then, of course, Jazz Chisholm Jr. getting picked off when the play was made on a pop-up by the second baseman. He throws Jazz out. I don't know what Jazz Chisholm Jr. was doing there. That was unacceptable. I mean, you cannot be doing that. You cannot be making simple mistakes like that on the base paths and expect the team to win. It's plays like that where it's going to cost you, and it's going to cost you big time. And again, the end result was that the Yankees lost 2-0. The pitching was on point. The bats were not. The bats, again, were non-existent. Where the bats put up 12 runs yesterday, putting up 0 runs today. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. So the Yankees lose 2 out of 3 against the Marlins. So now we got to hope that they could avoid the sweep tomorrow. Luis Hill is going to make his debut. How does Luis Hill perform? We'll have to wait and see. Hopefully he's going to be going up against Edward Cabrera, so it's going to be a matchup. It's going to be a matchup. So if hopefully the Yankees could avoid the sweep, because they need to start putting together some wins. I've been saying this right over the last few live streams. They need to put together some wins, and it's got to start. It can't start soon enough, right? They can't keep losing these games. Now, you look at the standings, right? Right now, the Yankees fall to third place in the division, right? Because the Red Sox won. The Red Sox beat the Astros today. The Yankees fall to third place in the division, and now they're second place in the wild card standings, right? So the Red Sox are in first place as far as the wild card goes. Yankees are in second. Seattle's in third. So now all of a sudden the Red Sox are a threat. Which the Red Sox are a team that you never fall asleep on ever. So now they're a threat, and so the Yankees right now they're falling backwards. They're falling backwards. I don't know how they bounce back from this. I wish I knew, but there needs to be more consistency. This team needs to be more in sync. When this team is in sync, this team can make a lot of things happen. They can be a much better team than what they are, but they're totally just beating themselves. This has been the problem. In a lot of these games that they have lost this season, teams are beating them, yes, but they're beating themselves. It's a lot of mental errors. It's just a lot of stupid, simple mistakes. And it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. But real quick, I've been live for almost 10 minutes. I haven't even said what's up to the chat, and I do apologize. Let me say what's up real quick. John K., first person in the building. What is up? Desiree, what's up, Desiree? How's it going? We got Chef Nick in the building. What's cooking there, bro? What's cooking? We got Jacob Frederick in the building. We got Scotto in the building. We got the other Jacob in the building. What up, Petruzzi? Rybread is in the building. What's up? Ronald is in the building. Javi's in the building. YOLO is in the building. We got my man Jason from 161, who's actually commenting from X. What up, man? What's going on? And now he's joining us on YouTube. What's up, bro? What's going on? What's going on? No, the Marlins are no pushovers. I mean, I was saying it last night. Watch out for the Miami Marlins to make a push for the postseason. They've been one of the better teams as of late. As far as standings go, they got a good, young, dynamic team. They got good pitching. They got guys that could run, they could hit. I mean, this team is pesky. They're 6.5 games out now out of a wild card spot. They could very well make a push. They could very well make a push. I am going to look out for the Marlins this month and next month to make something happen. I'm not sleeping on these guys. I'm not sleeping on these guys. I might have underestimated them just a little bit personally, but this team's the real deal. This team is the real deal, and they played a simple game. They played a good game. They did everything they possibly can to make sure the Yankees did not come away with wins last night or a win tonight. And exactly, yeah, 29-14 in the last 43 games. They're one of the best. They've been one of the best teams then in that span. So watch out, man. You know, they're a team to look out for, right? They're a team to look out for as far as National League teams go that are trying to make a push. Them and the Cincinnati Reds. Those are the two teams you got to watch out for. Shefnick says Boone is the softest beta male manager that the Yankees ever had. It is beyond ridiculous if people's mess up sloppy accountabilities in session. Well, you know, I don't know what he talked about with Jazz when they went to the clubhouse, right? They didn't talk in public. They went to to the back to talk. What was exchanged, what was said, what words were said, I couldn't tell you. But one thing is for certain, Boone did talk to him. He did address him. But then he publicly ripped the first base coach in the dugout. Why he did that with the first base coach and why he didn't with Jazz in the dugout, I don't know. But again, he addressed both individuals. What was said, I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you what was said. And Yolo says, notice how Marlins and Jays have all of a sudden got goodbye by. Yeah, exactly. And that's what it boils down to. What's up, Railbird? Oh, Frank Rivera, in a long time no see, man. He says Boone said other teams make mental errors, but you don't hear it. Well, you want to act like almighty Yankees, deal with it. Besides, other teams don't think Yankees are that mighty. Well, they do their homework. That's for freaking sure. But before I go any further, I do have a special guest in the back. He was kind enough to jump on with me for just a few. I know he's going to go live later, but my man, Jason Custodio, you all know him. You all love him. If you don't know him, you're going to get to know him. But let me know if you're ready to go, man. Give me a thumbs up, bro. I'll let you up. Let's go. Let's bring you up. What up, man? Welcome to the show, Jason. Great to have you on. What's going on, bro?
Not much, man. I mean, it'd be going a lot better if the Yankees could find a win somehow.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I don't know if you heard me talking in the back. I mean, the title says, right? If one thing clicks, the other doesn't.
I know, right? It's like when we pitch, we don't hit. When we hit, we don't pitch. Like,
yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
I don't know what's going on either, man. Because like last night, the bats were on point, right? Everything was clicking with the bats, with the stolen bases, with the situational hitting, with the home runs, the stolen bases, smart, being smart on the base paths. Like everything was just clicking all around for this team with the bats. Then the pitching couldn't hold it down, particularly with the bullpen. Funny enough, it's like the newly acquired arms couldn't hold it down. Maybe it was just a one-off thing. Maybe it was just, who knows why and how it happened. I'm not going to criticize off of one game because like Jake Bird came in today. He had a clean inning. That was encouraging. Second game, I'm not going to go crazy, but it was good to see that. The pitching held it down tonight or today. The bats, on the other hand, non-existent. So, I mean, what's your take on all this, man?
I was listening to you a little while ago on my way home, and
Sure.
and you said something that's very important. Like, this guy's just got here, so they're gonna need time. But unfortunately, though, the thing is that we don't have much time left, so it's kind of tough. And I brought this up yesterday when I was streaming. It's like, dude, just imagine going, like your job trades you to another job, and you landed the first day. It's your first day on the job, and you're expected to save the company. It's a lot of pressure, and I'm sure them guys felt nervous. And I'm not trying to make an excuse for them either, but like a lot of these problems and this stuff has been happening before they even got here. So, they just kind of fell into it. I think that hopefully they're gonna pan out. I do think that Bednar is gonna be good. Jake Bird is gonna pitch all right for us. Duvall is gonna be good too. The thing is, how long it's gonna take for this team to gel with all these new players and stuff. It's tough to say. And the thing that's really killing us, the thing that's really killing this team, is just the fundamental mistakes. It's the mental lapses and the errors and stuff like that. You can't win like that. When when your offense scores 12 runs and you lose that game, that's a problem.
It is, man. And, I don't know. Listen, I there needs to be accountability all around, right? It's not just one person. It's everybody, from players to the coaches to the manager. But, the players at to some degree, they got to know, man. It's like they've been in the game long enough. They get paid to do this stuff. They get paid millions of dollars to play the game. They got to know. They got to know. To me, it's like, yes, you do need to remind players of, the fundamentals. They always need reminded of that should always be a thing. But at some point, you have to you got to know, not to be off the in Jazz Chisholm's case, not to be far off the base, thinking, okay, thinking maybe this guy drops the ball. Well, yeah, maybe he does, but you can't assume that. You got to assume that he's going to make the pop up. He's going to make the play. I better be back on first base. Like that, to me, that's fundamental. To me, it's like, is that Boone's fault or was that Jazz's fault? To me, it's like I point the finger at Jazz, and I'm not saying that Boone doesn't make his mistakes. He absolutely does, but I blame Jazz on that one, because it's like, what are you doing there? You're shooting yourself in the foot. You're beating yourselves. What are we doing?
I
Right?
think that nah, he definitely, I don't know what he was thinking, because even if he was thinking that if they drop the ball, if he drops the ball, he drops the ball. There's no way you're making it a second. Yeah, if
No.
he drops the ball on purpose, so that was just dumb on his part. I think that where the fan base gets upset, where they feel like a lot of it goes on Boone, is
Mm-hmm.
because this stuff has been happening, and nobody, it seems to be no repercussions for it. It's like, okay, you can forget how many outs there are, no big deal, top of the ninth. If you forget how many outs there are and walk off the field and get tagged out, not a big deal. You still play tomorrow. I think that's where I understand where a lot of the anger goes into, because obviously Boone is not there. He can't make he's not the one that's taking the lead on first base. So it's harder to make somebody do something that you have no control. Really, he has no control over what Jazz is going to do there, with the exception of maybe the first base coach, which I think I heard on the radio that he was upset with the first base coach. Um, and I'm not even sure if that's his fault either. That's a Jazz thing. You should know better. That's what I
Again,
think.
you're getting paid millions to play the game. That should be day one type stuff, man. That's stuff that you practice, you know, during spring training. That's stuff that you practice even, outside of spring training. You practice these things. You should know these things. You've been playing the game a long time, man. So, yeah,
But
I don't know, man. But it's stuff like this. This is how this, it's simple mistakes like this that leads to the team losing. And then, of course, you probably heard me talk about how Trent Grisham got sent home on that
yeah,
hit by Giancarlo.
I think that was even more important than the Jazz play. And look, that's a third base coach thing. That's Miguel Rojas. He made the call. Was it the
Hmm.
right one? I don't agree with. I think that was a bad call to send him home there. But I understand they're trying to be aggressive and
Right.
take the lead early. But it's like Grisham. First of all, he's not even yet one of your top 5 runners on the team, right? And Giancarlo Stanton hit that ball so hard
Hmm.
that it wasn't even close. He was out by like 45 feet, literally. Like,
Yeah,
um,
he was out by a mile. Because and to your point, because I put out a tweet. I was like, hey, I understand trying to send him home. You trying to get on the board. I get it. I could appreciate taking that risk and being aggressive, but not like that. I think I didn't think he was going to send him home. To be honest with you, when I saw Grisham going home, I'm like, this is not going to end up well. This is going to be out number 3 right here. And it was a waste of a hit. Stanton gets this credit for the hit, but it was a waste though. It didn't amount to anything.
oh man, I was screaming, I already knew he was like, I was screaming on my phone because I was watching on my phone.
Hmm.
I'm like, don't send him, don't send him. And when I saw him, I was like, oh no, I
Yeah.
already knew he was out. And the thing that frustrates me on NFE, it's like, man, you got to know this stuff. Like, look, I'm just some guy who's sitting in his house, and I know
Mhm.
that the ball plays fast over there. It plays fast on turf, right? And when you see the hit, and maybe it's because we get a different perspective on TV. We could see the whole field.
Yeah,
So when he hit it, I already knew that this is not a play that you can get your guy. Maybe if it was Anthony Volpe or somebody with legs, I'd be like, okay. But even then, I think even if it was Caballero running and he's got the most stolen bases in the league, he probably gets thrown out. That's how it wasn't even close. But that's is look, and I hear like I understand the frustration with Boone. I think that the reason why fans are angry with Boone because one he's really in charge of that team and this stuff has been going on for so long and it's like you know like he's the common denominator. That's my whole thing, NFE. Like
yeah.
I know you feel differently about Boone, and I respect it. Because I felt like that too, but I had to get off that train because I was like, look, something's got to change. We bringing in new players every year, and it's the same thing over and over. Maybe it's something is organizational. At that point, that's how I feel.
So yeah, I mean, on that topic with Boone, I mean, like I said, I may not bash him the way a lot of folks do. I don't always agree. Once again, I don't always agree with his decisions. Sometimes I do question them. Sometimes I do say, why did he do what he did? I will question it. I just don't go out and just like start cursing him out publicly and start,
Hmm.
yelling at the top of my lungs or whatever. But no, there's times where he does frustrate me, but also there's other guys in his coaching staff, right? Because obviously he does have to consult with those guys and get their opinions. I mean, ultimately, I mean, one would think that he is the final decision maker of whatever is discussed, and he says, well, okay, based on what you all told me, here's what I think we're going to do. Here's what I want to do. Here's what I'm thinking. But how much? I wonder how much accountability should be also on some of the coaching staff, because I feel like maybe the guys that are working under him. I mean,
Oh
I
yeah.
think some of those guys may need to get replaced. I don't. Maybe it's the analytical team. There's a lot of factors in this. So, but
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
well,
you're right though. Like, there's a lot, but even like Chef makes a good point though. But that's his staff. Most of the time, the manager is gonna choose who his staff is gonna be, and I feel like I get it right. That a lot of the commands come from the tower, right? It comes from the front office and everything, and I'm not sure what all goes on behind the scene. But when you're on that field, ultimately he has full control of any decision he can make. They might not like it upstairs, but he
sure.
can do whatever he wants. Really, if he decides to take a pitcher out or take a player out, the front office is not gonna call the field and call the umpire and tell him no. Right? That shit
No,
is done.
yeah.
So I think that I'll be honest. Like regardless of what happens, barring we win the World Series, I think that this team needs a change. They need a change from the top, and then unfortunately, the likelihood of Cashman being replaced or anything like that, it's not gonna happen. And then you got to go to Boone, and it's like I think that Boone and his coaching staff they need to all be replaced, with the exception of maybe Matt Blake or somebody like that. Um, they need to start looking at bringing in a new regime, just a kind of a new voice, something different.
So here's a question for you, because I've asked this question before and I haven't gotten many answers at least from the chat. But
Hmm.
since I got you on here, because you mentioned Cashman, you mentioned Boone. So you know Cashman's contract is up after 2026.
Hmm.
Boone's contract is up after 2027. If depending on what happens, right? I know I'm jumping way ahead right now. Depending on what happens after 2026, if it doesn't result into a World Series, can you see both of these guys or either one of those guys being let go? Or do you see Cashman still being the GM, Boone being let go, or Cashman serving in a different role for the organization? Like, what are your thoughts? Because they both of their contracts expire different years. 26 for Cashman, 27 for Boone.
I think Cashman's gonna go when he wants to go. They're not gonna. He's been he's been in this organization. He's been running this team pretty much for about the better part of 30 years or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that he's gonna go, right? Unless he wants to. If he wants to retire or something like that, then he will. I think that Boone is on the hot seat. I mean, and you can see it on his face. You can tell that he is unhinged right now. Like I'm not gonna say like he's losing his mind, but he looks stressed. He looks really stressed, and you can tell that there's a lot of pressure coming down on him. Maybe we don't see it behind the scenes and stuff, but I believe that there's a lot of pressure, and he knows it. Especially after all these after this trade deadline. Now you have all the tools that you need, whether they perform or not. That's you can't really control that, right?
Right.
But he has the tools. There is no more excuses really, unless he makes the right. Sometimes you make the right decision, it doesn't work out. But I think that after 8 years, NFE, after 8 years and it doesn't pan out to success, you got to move on. Like even
Yeah.
if we make it to the playoffs, to the ALCS, we can make it to the ALCS and get bounced. I think you move on still.
Listen, and if I have people ask me, hey, if people ask me, hey, if hypothetically speaking, the Yankees move on from Aaron Boone after the season, would my feelings be hurt? No. Bring in somebody better. But who's that? Who's that manager? That's my other question.
Yeah.
Because everybody wants to name former New York Yankees, but I was like, okay, why don't we be a little bit more realistic? Who's going to be that new manager that's going to take over really, and is going to fit in with the Yankees thinking, their mentality, their philosophy. Who's that guy? I don't know. Is there any names that you have in mind?
I mean, I'll be honest with you, NFE, it doesn't even matter. At
Okay.
that point, it doesn't even matter. You get somebody new. I'm sure there's people out there, and if anything, you get somebody new and somebody who's gonna come from a different point of view, a different perspective. You can't have everybody saying yes at the same time. Everybody's yes man, and just you have to have some kind of balance.
Mm-hmm.
That's what, you understand what I'm saying. Like
Yeah,
you can't
I do.
like you need somebody who's not gonna agree with everything and just do whatever you want to also give their opinion and what they think should happen, and then you come to an agreement and you figure it out. And I'm not saying that Boone doesn't do that behind the scenes because I don't know. My thing is just that
Yeah.
after 8 seasons of being embarrassed over and over in the playoffs or whatever it may be, I think, look, I'm sure he'll find another job somewhere. I'm 100% positive that if the Yankees fired Aaron Boone, he will find another job within, by the time the season's over, he'll have another job, right? But
I think a team would hire him. What team would hire him? I don't know, but
oh
I'm
no,
sure
they'll
they're
hire him in a second.
for
But
sure.
it's just not working out here. Sometimes you just need a change. Like, look at Ryan McMahon. Look how well he's played recently, right? He needed maybe it could be something he just needed a change of scenery. Sometimes you just need a change of the guard, so to speak, to somebody else in charge. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But we're not winning as it is now, not no championships anyway.
Yeah, and but yeah, but again, I asked for names though, like who's. I mean, I don't know. I don't know who's out there. I don't know who would be available. Realistically speaking, I don't know the answer to that question because I pondered that question because I'm like, okay, if folks want Boone gone, who takes over for him?
Oh yeah, that's the thing that
And I
there's a
don't
lot
know.
of names that we don't know. There's people inside
Sure.
these old. There's a lot of managers who came up through the college system who coach Division 1 teams or whatever. There's a lot of people out there, or managers in the minor leagues, and or even these big names, guys like Joe Madden or whoever it is, right? Buck Showalter, whatever. I don't think I'm not saying those are the guys, right?
Hmm.
I'm just saying that it doesn't even. It just needs to be something different. It really does, and then that's their job. That's the Yankees' job, Hal and Cashman, to find that guy. But look at like a guy like Pat Murphy, right? The Brewers manager.
Hmm.
You know, did you really know who he was for any of this? Neither did
No,
I, right? And it
no.
turns out this guy's killing it over there. He's a great manager. He's leading that team. You know, they're doing something that they weren't supposed to do, and they're about to take that division from the Cubs. Well, they're in a dogfight there, right? But just somebody like that, you just never know who it is. I think it's just somebody. And if you look at Pat Murphy, right, he seems like he has that alpha mentality. I think that's what this team needs, more of an alpha, just a old school hard nosed kind of manager. That's what I think they really need, because this other style of managing isn't working for this team. And I'm not saying the guy got to go in there and curse people out or anything like that, because you don't see a guy like Pat Murphy doing that. But I
Mm-mm.
guarantee you, if somebody makes a mistake like that, he'll pull him off. He'll take him off the field immediately.
Yeah, and you know, again, if you, I mean, in today's game, if you pull Jazz out of the game, would I have been upset about it? No, but then that would have meant you put in either Rosario or Caballero.
Hmm.
I mean, would you agree with that? I mean, I know Rosario, right? There's been complaints about his defense. We know Caballero could probably play, no doubt, but I think
And
I go ahead.
Caballero's a negative. He's a -2 outs above average at second base this year.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So it's
Yeah,
like
it's not good.
kind of pick, at that point, pick your poison. You
Yeah,
know,
but you get sometimes you gotta. I think that Boone. The thing is with Boone is that he can't just go now and start yelling at people and benching people if you've never done that, because then it just, and if you set that precedent, you have to do it all the time, you know. So if somebody else goes up there. So yesterday he didn't bench, well, he couldn't bench what's his name, Austin Wells. He couldn't have benched him, right?
hmm
uh you understand what I'm saying? Like, if you set that precedent, if I come in there and I bench a player, I have to have that same energy to every player, you know. So I think that's why he's kind of hesitant. But if you, that's why I think that's why we need somebody else. We need somebody else to come in and lay down the groundwork, brand new. Say like, look, this, I'm not standing for this. It's unacceptable. That's it. But this is 8 years later. If it was acceptable 2 years ago and now it's unacceptable, you know, you changing the rules on guys. They're gonna look at you like, you know, you switching it up on them. That makes sense.
Yeah, but at some point, though, I mean, switching it up, though, maybe that's what it takes. That's the thing, because some if you, like, in real life, you let things slide, right, for
Hmm.
a certain period of time. But at some point, you got to put your foot down and be like, you know what, enough is enough.
No,
If it's bringing you stress, if it's bringing you pain, at some point you got to put your fight down and be like, all right, yo, like, enough. Like, I've seen enough. I've had enough. I'm fed up. Um,
yeah, but then you got to do it with everybody. You understand what I mean? Like,
well,
I can't be a tough guy to just to Johnny over here, but act timid to this guy over. You know, if he's gonna be like that with one play, he has to be like that with everybody.
well,
And
I'm
I think,
saying keep it. Yeah, you got to keep it consistent. You can't just do it with one person. It should be all equal opportunity. Because the I don't want to go back. I mean, I'm going to go back to last year, but we all remember when Boone did that to Gleyber Torres,
mhm.
and he benched Gleyber. After that, Gleyber went on a tear.
Yeah, he did.
Maybe you do. I mean, Jazz has been playing well, but I mean, but after that play, yeah, maybe he should have been benched. Screw it. But then you would have had Caballero or Rosario, who,
Yeah,
as far as outs above average goes, is in the negatives. So I mean, that's not going to help really. But again, what do you do? If we're talking about defensive, you got to keep Jazz out there, and hopefully he learned his lesson. Hopefully Jazz doesn't repeat that again. I don't think he will, but I would love to know. I would love to know what he discussed with Jazz in the dugout. We'll never know. I mean, they're gonna hold that kind of stuff secret. So, you know, Ken Rosenthal, one time, he said that, yeah, managers, it's not just Boone, like managers in general, they don't rip players in public anymore. there is no, this player did this and we're going to have a talk with him and this and this and this. Like there's no public, ripping your players in public anymore on the cameras. And it's like, but what is he talking about with the guys when the cameras are off? Well, I don't know, but if it's not, I guess if it's not reflecting, then is something not clicking? Is there not is Boone doing everything he possibly can, but the players are not doing or not listening? I mean, is that the issue?
I mean, it could be, but at that point,
Yeah.
at
I'm
that
not
point, it's
saying
like
you. I'm
you
not
gotta put
saying that you know the
your
answer.
foot down. It's like
Yeah.
if I tell my kid, right, I say, hey, don't do that, stop, and they're like, yeah, whatever. And they keep doing it. I'm like, hey, I said, don't
Yeah.
do that, stop. At some point, I need to be like, later, you know what, you're grounded. Give me the iPad. Give me. You understand? It escalates, and I think Boone is at that point where it's like, look, like having those talks behind the scenes, it's not getting it done because this is continuing to happen. It's gonna take for him to really,
Hmm.
mid game to pull somebody right off the field. Like, you know what? Come on, bring him in. Hey, Caballero, whoever, go out there. But
Yeah.
I get it though. It's tough, and look, being a manager of any major league team, let alone the Yankees, it has to be stressful, and tough, especially in the position that he's in right now, where it's like, these are big league players. You wouldn't think that you have to tell them like, hey, make sure you know how many outs there are or stuff like that. But apparently you do. Mm.
And that's a problem. And because people want to talk about how want to go back, right? Again, they keep going back to the dynasty years with Joe Torre,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a difference with the players back then with the players now, and I'm talking in general. I'm not even talking players just Yankee players. I'm just talking players in general now. And if we're just talking Yankee players, I mean, those guys, yeah, they need to be reminded. I mean, you always need to remind your players. I mean, you are the manager of the team after all. If you're a coach, you have to, remind your players. You have to. You got to remind people. But those guys back then and the players of that generation, they knew the assignment. They had that discipline. Today it just feels like you got to keep harping on these guys to do the work, put in the work, do this, do that, and it doesn't always seem like they're it doesn't know it probably gets tiring after a while. And as far as Boone and managing, or any manager managing a baseball team, I mean, they can have the job. I don't want it. I mean, those guys may be getting paid well, but that's a stressful job, man. That is a stressful job. I don't think his job is easy by any means.
No,
But
it's not.
huh?
No, I said no, it's not. But
Yeah.
would you say though that I mean, because not all players are like that, and not all teams are like that. That's where I feel like, and I don't know because we don't know what goes on behind the scenes. So a lot of this is just me speculating,
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But I know whatever is happening behind the scenes isn't translating on the field. So maybe you got to do something different. That's all I'm saying. And if it means changing personnel and management, then sometimes you have to do that. That's just how. Look, that's how any company, any business, any team. That's how if it's not working out, you got to change something. If you're in a relationship and it's not working out, something needs to change, or you got to break it off completely. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Oh, 100. Yeah. No, you're right. But I also think too, and I've said this in the past, in past seasons too. I think as the season goes on, as the season plays on, teams have their guys, like their scouts, they're always watching the games. They're always, they're seeing what teams are doing. I think it's just a lot of times that, when it comes to the Yankees, opposing teams, they're always going to do their homework on the Yankees because they want to figure out how do we beat these guys, because that, beating the Yankees is a big deal. You know what I mean? For every team that beats the Yankees, it's a big deal for that organization. So I think other teams too, they're watching. I think they're paying attention to what the Yankees are doing well and where they're weak. And I think these teams are just making their adjustments. And
Yeah.
I don't know if sometimes I think at times I don't know if the Yankees are making enough adjustments.
I think look, and if I'm gonna be honest, man,
Go ahead.
this team is just they they're good enough to beat all these. There's no reason why we should be losing like this to the Marlins and stuff like that. I think they
Yeah,
just it's it's a big dumpster fire. I'm telling you, I think behind the scenes we don't see a lot of stuff that's going on. But even like somebody commented the way he went after the first base coach. Even that, I feel like Boone is unhinged right now. Something's going on behind the scenes, and I feel like he knows he's on the hot seat. It doesn't matter if he has 2 more years. We've seen the Yankees have proven to us that they're willing to move on from players when they DFA'd DJ LeMahieu. They just DFA'd
they
what's his name,
just released
Stroman.
Strowman. Yeah,
So you can tell that they're willing to eat some money and just move on if they have to, because something's not clicking here. Um, I just feel like it's a big mess. This team, I really don't know what's going on. It just seems like there's no, like you said, no discipline, no, there's no order, there's no. It's a big mess. That's how when I look at when I watch other teams, right, especially big market teams, teams that are in it, they just seem more together, more professional. Just they don't make those simple mistakes. They're not bringing out Jonathan Loizaga in a big situation there. After Carlos Rodon pitched bad too. It's just little things like that. I feel like and it's from the top down. It's not only Boone, but unfortunately, he's going to be the fall guy. That's my whole thing. But I think it is a lot of the front office, the analytics up there. Whatever information they're giving them, it's obviously not working.
yeah, yeah. As far as well, it's funny that you brought up Loisaga because funny enough, when he got brought into the game last night, I remember folks were so upset about it, and people were just like, well, how come they didn't bring in any of the new arms? I'm like, well, shoot, the new arms didn't do anything either.
Yeah, you're
So
right.
it was just a bad performance all around. So what if the new guy? So I mean, yeah, what if they did bring in one of the new guys in instead of Loisaga? Earlier in the game, would it be the same result?
No, we'll never know, right?
Yeah,
No,
we'll
you're
never
right
know.
though.
I mean, yeah, and that's that's the other part, man. It's like hindsight's always 20/20 because you think you're making the right decision, but sometimes it backfires.
Mhm.
So, you have your expectations of your guys, but sometimes the guys just don't come through. And I saw a few other folks come in, and I apologize. I didn't say what's up, but Katie, Patrick, Dev Finch, Brad, what's up there, folks? How we doing? Theo's in the building too. Thank you all for tuning in. And once again, I got my man Jason Custodio on the show. That's his YouTube channel. So if you all are
I
not
appreciate it,
subscribed,
man.
go subscribe. Does a really good job over there. He's does a lot of like interactive stuff. He does some pretty cool stuff that I'm like, I would like to learn that. I don't know how he does it, but man, maybe he'll give me a tutorial or something one day. But yeah. But shout out to you, man. But
Yeah, definitely, man. Appreciate it.
yeah. Um, but Theo is saying I'm starting to think it's a bigger problem than Boone.
No, I think he's right, but the thing is that it's I don't see Cashman getting fired, right? I
Nah.
think that the fall guy, unfortunately, the fall guy is Boone. He's the guy who's gonna, he's gonna take the charge for everybody, and it's unfortunate, but that's just how it is in baseball. Uh, I know the Nats, they actually fired their GM who had been with them for quite a while too, won a World Series with them, and the
Mm-hmm.
manager. But I don't see how doing that now with Cashman, who's been there almost 30 years. I just can't see it happening.
Yeah, because we've seen all the other managers get let go,
Mhm.
and Cashman still remained. So I think Cashman is like pretty much grandfathered in. I can't see him going nowhere unless he decides to after 2026 he decides to step down or serve in a different role where he's not GM. He's doing something else for the for the organization. But then if he leaves, then who takes over for him?
Yeah, and I'll be honest. Look, I'm still happy with the trade deadline. I think
Sure.
that was a masterclass by
Yeah.
Cashman. That's why he's been in the business so long. When you look at, I get it's not the sexiest names. That's what people keep saying. But when you look at what he gave up to get these guys who are really good too, they're not just some pushovers either. When you look at who he gave up to get him, it's nothing. You know,
Yeah, I mean as far as the deadline goes, I'm still happy with the acquisitions. I know folks are again, I know people have were was already they were already crapping on the acquisitions because of the performance from last
Mhm.
night. I get it; it was frustrating, but it's one game. Let's not go overboard yet, right? It's kind of like look at how for example, look at how Devin Williams started off the season. Folks were already ready to write him off. Look
Mhm.
at how Cody Bellinger was when he started the season. Below or in the beginning of May, he was below 200. Now
Oh
the
yeah.
dude's batting, he's in the 280s. You got to give it
Mhm.
time, and right now there's not a lot of time left. I understand, but you got to hope that these new acquisitions they figure it out, and hopefully the coaching staff with the new because they have to get adjusted to the coaching staff and seeing how these guys like to do things, how they like to approach the game. Because every manager, every coach, they're all going to look at the game different, so they're all going to approach the game different. And not they're as far as the approach and the philosophy, it's all going to be different. So you hope these guys can figure it out. I mean, Bird's outing was encouraging. So it was a 180 from last night. Hopefully, you can have more outings like that. And hopefully the new acquisitions can have more positive outings. But right now, man, it's just like, yeah, the Yankees, they're falling a little backwards because I don't know if you saw, and I talked about it, but now the Red Sox are at the top as far as wild card goes.
Mhm.
So they're leading by a half a game. Yankees fall to third place. It's a little concerning, right? I'm not in like I don't want to say I'm in a panic mode. I'm not saying this team isn't going to make the postseason. I still really believe they can make the postseason. They just have to show it on the field. Um, I still want them to try and find a way to win the division because I want them in first place. I don't want them going in as a wild card. If they make it as a wild card, great, but I want them finishing first place. But now they're 4.5 games behind the Blue Jays at the moment, so they're going to have to start manufacturing some wins. You know, they got tomorrow is a must win now, and I feel like the way these games are going to go. I feel like every game is going to be it's a must win. I mean,
Mhm.
evidently they're going to still lose games, unfortunately. It's just it's just, like every sport, you're going to win, you're going to lose. Right. So, um, but I feel like a lot of all these games that they're going to play now, it's a must win now because
Yeah, definitely. Yep. This year NFE, man, I feel like this year is the tale of the tale of two Yankees, right? On
hmm
one end, I look at them, I'm like, this team is really good. They're supposed to be really, really good.
yeah,
Like when you look at you're like, there's so much talent. And then on the other end, it's like this team is terrible. What are we doing? When
yeah,
I certain games, I'm like, what is happening? This team's they stink. And so I say that to say this, like, I believe the Yankees still will make the postseason, right? But if they
hmm
didn't, would I be surprised? No, I wouldn't. At the same
hmm
time, too, after seeing so many like blunders and mishaps, I could see that happening as well. But I truly believe that they will make the postseason. Maybe not take the division, but they will be in there.
Either
Hopefully.
way, I'm mentally prepared myself. So
Hmm.
if they don't make the postseason, I'm mentally ready. And if
Yeah.
they do make the postseason, I'm mentally ready. So I always prepare myself for stuff like this. If I'm not. I know there's a lot of folks that want to compare 2025 to 2023, but this 2023 they didn't have a squad like this.
No.
They didn't have a roster like this. The roster in 2023 was piss poor, and
Hmm.
I knew it. Shoot, I hate to say it, but I gave up on him in the month of July in 2023.
Yeah, me too. I already knew. I was like, oh yeah, this team not
Yeah,
gonna make it.
because where it happened for me in 2023 is when they lost 2 out of 3 against the Rockies. I was
Hmm.
like, yo, their season's toast.
It's funny in 2023 where it happened for me was after the All Star break against the Marlins. They had played the Marlins and Clay Holmes had blew like a
Yeah,
5-run lead in the ninth inning or something
yeah,
like that. And I was like, this team is done. They're toast. And I blame that one on Boone too, but that's another story. But
yeah.
look, we Luis Hill's coming back tomorrow. Um,
How do
I'm
you? Yeah,
hoping that we can like we're gonna get all our guys back. I'm hoping that they could figure it out
yeah,
and make a
because
push.
Hill will be back tomorrow. Um, Hill will be back tomorrow. You're hoping his season debut will be a good one, and I think the Marlins will be it's a good game for him to come back to pitch against
Hmm.
of teams that he can pitch against. I think it'll we'll find out. It's what's up there, Susan? Brooklyn's in the house. What's up? And we got Mark in the building. What's up, Mark? But yeah, let's see how Luis Hill does his last outing. He did really well. His last rehab game, he went 4 1/3, 75 pitches. He struck out 7. It was encouraging, but let's see how he does against the Marlins tomorrow afternoon. He's going to go up against Edward Cabrera, so that's
Hmm.
going to be another tough matchup there for the Yankees. Uh, Marlins, I mean, they got good pitching. I really like I do like Yuri Perez when I saw that he was pitching today. I was like, this is a guy that I would have, that I would like for the Yankees to go after. But I mean, we know the Marlins ain't going to give him up. But I had, he's a young pitcher, but he's got a lot of potential. Um,
Oh yeah.
I do like him, but Cabrera is going to be, I think the Yankees are going to still, they'll have a challenge ahead of them. Will they be able to pull it off? Or, we'll find out tomorrow morning, um, or tomorrow afternoon, should I say? But in terms of pitching, man, how do you feel about Cam Schlittler? Like he's looked pretty good in his last in his starts. He's still young, he's still adjusting, he's a rookie. I mean, it's encouraging. I like what I'm seeing from him. He went 5 innings, right? He
Yeah.
struck out 7, right?
I
Or
think
was it 6? But and he
I
walked.
gotta look it up.
Yeah, I could look it up real quick, but he only walked a couple of batters. He only gave up those 2 runs. It was just the 2 home runs to Augustine Ramirez. Funny enough.
I know, right?
Um, yeah, it's like, man, he's just like, all right, you guys traded me. I'm gonna get my revenge now. And those were the only 2 runs from the Marlins. I mean, eh, but Yankee. I mean, Marlins after that, man, it's like their offense was non-existent, but the Yankees' offense was just non-existent all around because um, they didn't really do much of anything. You know,
Yeah, they didn't do anything.
uh,
How many hits was it? What, like 3 hits or something like that?
dude,
Like
they had no. The Yankees only had 2 hits all game.
2 hits, even
Two
worse.
hits, yeah. They hardly got on base.
It's
So
crazy.
yeah, it's nuts, man. It's nuts, and they're the pitching once again. They held it down today. They actually held it down. The
Hmm.
bullpen, the starter, everybody. They also all those guys that pitched today. They all held it down. The bats were just lackluster, and you know I I'm not going to even this day and this time around with the bats, right? They have guys that they can hit. So if it's like, we know Judge hasn't been playing, but these guys can also play well without Judge. They're built to play well without Judge because there's other guys that can step up and perform. We have seen that. Giancarlo, who, is not liked by everybody, who.
Hmm.
And then you also have obviously what's his face? Cody Bellinger. He's been performing. I mean, there's been, these guys are a couple of bright spots. Jazz has been coming through. Volpe, surprisingly, with his blunders, I mean, he's been coming through offensively. So they have it. It's there. It's just a matter of having to click all together. And real quick, shout out to my man Theo for the $2 super chat. Thank you so much. He says you can't blame Cashman. Well, Cashman got the guys. Now it's just they gotta go out there and put it together on the field.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I think Cam Schlittler, man, he's gonna. I'm glad that they didn't trade him. I'm glad that they didn't send him down. Unfortunately, it had to be at the expense of Marcus Stroman. But hey, it is what it is. I think he's gonna be good, man. The fact that you could tell that he's I don't know, but like the moment is not too big for him, right? Especially after a loss like yesterday. He comes in today. Even when he pitched against Toronto, you know, he pitched really well. I think he's gonna be really good. If he could get a third pitch, another pitch. Besides the what he throws a changeup, fastball, and I think a slider or something like
Slider.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he
If it,
throws like he's got a curveball too. If he
okay.
could figure out that curveball, I think he'd be forget it. I
Yeah,
think
he'd
he'd be
be
lights out.
deadly. Yep. Because he throws really, really hard, and when he throws, the thing I like about him the most is that it doesn't even. Some guys you see them, they throw 98, 99, but you could tell they're giving it 110%. They're giving it all they got, right? When he
Yeah.
does it, it looks effortlessly, like it's just natural to him.
Yeah, I will say I'm not saying he's gonna be Clay not Clay Holmes because we were talking about Clay Holmes. I'm not gonna say he's gonna be Garrett
Like,
Cole,
hmm
right? I'm not saying he's gonna be like the next Garrett Cole. I'm not one to really put these comparisons out there, but he kind of has that presence,
yeah,
right? He has that presence. You see him on the mound and he's just like laser focused. He gave up those home runs, but he kind of shook it off like, all right, well, on to the next one. I
yep,
can't keep dwelling on this. And again, he still, despite giving up, runs in any of the games that he's pitched, he has, again, he has looked good. He has had solid outings so far. I'm liking what I'm seeing from him, and that's the other thing I'm liking about the Yankees right now. They're trying to give their young guys more chances now. There's been a lot of criticism as far as Yankees and prospect hugging, and they're not letting these guys play. They're killing their value, but they're trying in that they're going back to that direction of giving the young guys more opportunities. So, you've seen it with Luis Hill, Will Warren, Austin Wells, Ben Rice, Dominguez.
Dominguez. Yep.
You're seeing it with Schlittler. You saw it with Clark Schmidt, right? Next year, hopefully, you're gonna see it with Spencer Jones.
Yep.
So, I think I think they're really trying though. And you'll eventually see it with George Lombard Jr. But I think they're going in that. I do like that direction that they're going in as far as giving young guys a better chance. And you hope these guys do pan out. But do they help the team win the championship in the future? Only time will tell. I think they can. It's just once again putting it together on the field, and whether are they going to win a World Series with Aaron Boone, or is it going to be with somebody else?
I
I don't
mean,
know.
I think even when you look at the team on paper, right? There
Mhm.
should be a lot. There should be a lot more a lot more wins in the W column, man. Because
Yeah,
I don't know, but I do like that they playing the kids. And they're gonna make mistakes. It happens, right?
yeah,
It happens. Right now, though, I feel like at this point of the season, we can't afford any of that anymore. So you got to put your best guys out there. That's why I feel like a guy like Ben Rice, he needs to be in the lineup every single day. I don't care how they do it, whether he's first base one day, catcher next, first base then, well, however they figure it out. Ben Rice needs to be in the lineup every day. This dude hits the ball very, very hard every single time. Even today, he don't have much to show for it, but he smoked the ball several times. Um, Guys
yeah.
like that,
And
they got to figure it out.
listen, I'm all what up, Raziel? What's going on? What is going on? He's like, we lost to a money laundering scheme. How? I don't know, bro. Shout out to my man Raziel. Yeah, I know a lot of people like to put that stat out there of like, he's hitting the ball hard.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, great. I'm glad he's hitting the ball hard. So does Giancarlo Stanton. So does Judge. So does Bellinger. These guys do hit the ball hard, but I want that when they're hitting the ball hard, I want it to result into something positive, because it does. If it doesn't result into anything positive, for me, that hard hit ball, it's irrelevant. You
No,
know?
I feel you, but
Yeah.
it's better than. I mean, the result is the result, right? But
Right.
sometimes there's a saying in baseball. If you ever play baseball, it's like
Yeah.
sometimes the result is not gonna be there, But as long as I mean, it's like you can't worry about the outcome too much because you could hit a ball over the fence and a player robs it, and in the box score it just comes up as an out. You went 0 for 1. But in
Sure.
your mind, I hit that ball I hit a home run. You know what I mean? So that's what I like. I like to see that he's constantly. Eventually, those hard hit balls they're gonna find grass. You would think, right? Hopefully,
Yeah,
yeah.
and that's what you want. That's what you want. But if it's not resulting into anything positive, if it's not a single, double, triple, home run, and it's resulting in an out, and at the end of the day, the
It's an
bottom
out.
line is
Yeah.
if you lose, the hard hit ball, the launch angle, like to me, like it's cool to look at, right? It's cool, great to look at. It's fun, right?
Mhm.
But the at the end of the day, the story, the bottom line is, did you win? Did you lose?
Yep.
That's the bottom line. And then at the end of the season, whoever the champion is, I mean, all that analytical stuff is out the window because all the folks are going to look at is who won the World Series,
Yeah.
or did you win or did you lose? Like that's what the bottom line is because the heart. What's up, Ken? Shout out to Ken. He's
Mhm.
doing a really good job over there at the Ugly Truth. So keep up the good work there, Ken. Make sure you all go check out his channel at The Ugly Truth, Yankees The Ugly Truth. But the wins and losses is what's gonna matter the most, not the not the launch angles and the hard hit balls. I like it's fun to look at. It's great. It's encouraging. It says something. It tells us a story, but the ending is what matters the most. And I got you. And I do appreciate everybody tuning in. I am probably gonna shut it down here in just a moment. Anyway, we've been live for about an hour, and my God, time flies when you're having fun. But yeah, Custodio. Nah, I do appreciate you jumping on. I know you were gonna go live. What time? What time you going live, man?
I'm shooting for 8:30. Well, 8:30 my time, so 9:30 Eastern time. Um, but we'll see because I had to go do something real quick first, really fast, and then I should be back. I should be on at 9:30 though. I'll make it on.
All right, cool. I'm just typing something real quick. Cool. So yeah, for sure. I know a few folks have been coming in late. Like I said, I've been live with Jason for about an hour now, and I appreciate him jumping on. I know a few of you just jumped in towards the end, and but I am gonna probably end it right here. But folks in the chat, thank you all for tuning in. Jason, thanks for coming on, bro. I do appreciate
Anytime,
it.
brother.
Yeah,
Anytime, man.
I got to jump on with you now. That's got to
Yeah.
happen at some
Yeah, we're
point.
gonna do something definitely, and we'll get Ace in there too, and medium well steaks all the way, all day, every day. Cause
Here you go, starting the steak war. I gotta. Oh man, all right. You know what? Tomorrow, I'm making a poll. How do you like your steak?
oh
That's
yeah,
it.
I mean, look, if you eating anything underwell, then you're borderline cannibalism right there.
Oh man,
Mm,
medium rare, folks. Medium rare is the way to go. But all jokes aside though, but for sure. Now I'm glad we did this stream together, man. I'm glad I went live for the post game. As far as I didn't go live for the pregame or play by play, I just needed a day to myself because it was just kind of like an exhausting week. So I'm like, let me just chill out, and instead I'll just do a post game
mhm.
sort of thing. But anyway, but I will be live tomorrow for the pregame and the postgame. So hopefully I get to see you all there. I know Jason's going to go live here a little later,
Mhm.
but folks in the chat, thank you all very much for tuning in. I am going to go ahead and shut it down, and hopefully I see you all tomorrow. If not, enjoy your weekend, enjoy your evening, have a great night. Shout out to Jason Custodio. Shout out to all of you in the chat. And as always, folks, let's go Yankees. We out.